Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, up on the community page, I put up a post yesterday evening asking for ideas for topics. Go ahead, type in a topic, read through the replies, see if there's any topics that you like. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. The ones with the most thumbs up get the priority. That being said, there was a comment from Noah NYC asking if the Supreme Court can be trusted to make the right decision if the election outcome comes under their jurisdiction. While at the time of this recording, which is Saturday morning at 10:30 in the morning, it only has 11 thumbs up, which is not the most. I thought that was kind of an intriguing question because we can see where this is going, right? Now, the election's ongoing. In 2016, Trump said the election was rigged and if he didn't win. In 2020, he said the election would be rigged if he didn't win. And in 2024, he's saying the election would be rigged if he doesn't win. Notice a pattern there. The last time they couldn't get out of, there's like 60-something court cases, other than one victory that decreased the time to count ballots in Pennsylvania or something like that from like 7 working days to 3 working days. They had no victories because they had no data. But that doesn't mean that Trump won't try and get to the Supreme Court, where clearly 3 justices that he put on there would show fealty to him. And then you've got Alito and Thomas to make 5, and that's all you need. Don't even need Justice Roberts on your side. So that's what Trump is counting on. He's counting on mayhem. What the Republicans want is they want it sent back to the states because there's more rural red states in the Midwest and the South that are Republican. For the folks outside the United States, more states vote for Republicans than Democrats. But the greatest populations are on the coast or near the coastline. So the coastal states tend to vote for the Democrats. If you ever see maps of the United States, they just cover like all the states in red or blue or something along those lines to show you how much land is covered by the votes. But land doesn't vote. It's people that vote. And the most populous states, the most metropolitan and cosmopolitan states, tend to vote for the Democrats. It's wild because those are the states with the most money. Those are the ones that probably should vote Republican for the old pick yourself up by the bootstraps. Oh, the other thing you may not know is that the states pay into the feds, and then the feds send money back to the states. So there's wealth redistribution that happens on a state level. So some state like California or New York, they may pay, I'm just going to come up with a number. They pay $10 billion in taxes. They may only see like $7 billion in benefits from the federal government. So where does that extra $3 billion go? Well, $500 million might go to Kentucky. Another $500 might go to Mississippi. Another $500 million may go to Alabama or Arkansas. Poorer states that have a more poor population and need more federal assistance to keep their standard of living to the standard of the United States. So there's already wealth redistribution here. And it's funny, the wealthiest states tend to vote for the Democrats, which support workers and workers' rights, generally speaking. All right, let's look at the Supreme Court here. Let's go into this wild hypothetical that, Kamala Harris wins the election. And in this hypothetical, let's say Donald Trump screams, whines, cries, and carries on saying, the election was stolen. Me. I'm sure that's exactly how he would do it, too. For more, see Cash Peters and see what a he'll draw Beaker. His stick figure. It's the only time he draws a stick figure that's not a stick figure, so he draws Beaker. And let's see, what would happen if the Supreme Court... Let's look at the entry of the Supreme Court. If they know this case about election interference and rigged elections and stuff like that is coming to them, let's look at the energy that the Supreme Court is feeling, and then we'll look to see how they resolve it. Because looking at the energy of how they're feeling will give you the idea of why they rule the way they rule. Okay, so foundation of the reading is the 6 of Coins. 6 conservative justices. And you've got the states, the blue states and the red states, which are yellow, my Ukraine colors here. It's going to be up if the Supreme Court's going to like, oh my God, we're going to have to rule on this, and it's with the coins that are handing to this person here. It could be the generosity, or it could be the compassion, or it could just be the greed. I have faith that the Supreme Court can't sink this low. I don't know why I have that faith. If you don't have that faith, I totally get why. Oh, as I see this on the side of the camera here, take a quick thing. This is a jasper heart that I have. It's got a little green part on one side, but I love this part because it reminds me of coffee. When you've got those wonderful swirls on it. And speaking of coffee, it's pumpkin season. All right, go get your pumpkin lattes. Pause the video, come back, and we will carry on. We've got the 6 coins crossed with the Page of Swords. Interesting. With the 8 of Swords underneath. Novel case coming into the Supreme Court, and they're kind of tied. Their hands are tied. This also reminds me that Amy Coney Barrett, although she's not young, she's the newest justice on the Supreme Court. And although she is voted in support of some of the most horrific legislation giving Donald Trump king-like powers, she's also... sometimes she's not fully willing to go the Clarence Thomas, Justice Alito route with the voting. So there could be problems with her. And I think underneath this, with this 8 of Swords, is what do you want your legacy to be? The law is pretty darn clear, especially if you're waiting for all this evidence to come in. And if the evidence is puny, how in God's name do you rule for the orange dictator? In the past, we have the Empress. Sorry, paused for a sneeze break. Interesting double take with the Empress. The Empress is to make sure everybody's needs are met. Another sneeze coming here. The Supreme Court used to... They had their biases. Let's be real. We can go back to the Supreme Court in the mid 1800s and look how they ruled about people being 3/5 of a human being and stuff like that. But generally speaking, we like to think of our Supreme Court as being fair, balanced, and there to take care of everybody's needs. I think, though, what we've also seen with the Supreme Court is some laziness and entitlement. And we don't have to go any further than Thomas's relationship with Harlan Crow. Alito's financial misgivings and bad behavior is also being related. So the Empress, it was the Supreme Court used to be above it all, but they're not above it all anymore. Current situation is the 3 of Coins. Now, these are I'm going to have as your 3 Democratic justices that are, working together to strategize what they're going to do with this, and maybe, coming up with a plan to argue with their colleagues. There's going to be some collaboration that's going on. This is not going to be something that's just going to get rammed down our throats. Not with the Page of Swords here, not with the 3 of Coins, with the collaboration. And Justice Roberts, I don't think, even wants to be associated with a decision like that. So there's your 5 votes right there, if you can get her over. Overarching energy is the Knight of Cups. There might be a coming together of the Supreme Court that we haven't seen in a while. Back to the days of this. Clarence Thomas should recuse himself. Will he? Likely not. Well, maybe he doesn't have to recuse himself. He should with any 2020 decision, not necessarily the 2024 decision. Alito, all I have to say is Vergonia, and I won't go any further than that. Lesson to be learned is the 3 of Wands. They're preparing. They know this case is coming. They know this case is coming, and they have to get ready to take action for it. there are discussions happening, I'm sure, behind the scenes. People are reaching out to discuss this case and getting ready for it. Now, you can't prepare too much because you don't know exactly how it's going to be brought to you, but you could do some preparation on election interference and things along those lines. Outcome is going to be the King of Wands. I think ultimately this is going to hinge on John Roberts. First off, John Roberts is going to have to be the one, they're going to have to vote to accept this case, which likely they will, because it is the Supreme Court after all. But it's up to John Roberts' leadership at this point, because if he and Amy Coney Barrett are the types that say, we can't do this, well, then you've got your 5 votes. And maybe if you do that, then the Neil Gorsuch's and the Brett Kavanaugh's fall into line. Now you have 8 votes, or 7 votes. Am I counting right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, because there's 9. And then that leaves Alito and Thomas. And I don't think Alito is going to want to be on the wrong end of a 7-2 vote. Thomas, he's 1 foot out the door anyways. He's got his luxury motor coach and he's married to his best friend and gets to go on the Harlan Crow tours. Until he doesn't. Oh, God. Can you imagine that breakup? I didn't know you were black. Harlan Crow, if you don't know, has a very, very large collection of Nazi paraphernalia. That's been reported on. And friends with Clarence Thomas, who would be black and would be considered inferior in Nazi culture. So it's kind of an interesting conundrum. I mean, I get wanting to learn more about the Nazis. I get why you could be interested in that. But here's the thing. The look. If you're not, you walk into his man cave and there's maybe a big Nazi flag, a bust of Hitler, Mein Kampf on the table, and stuff like that. You might just wonder what the hell you just walked into and what this person's all about. You might just walk right out again. Now, if it were pictures of Panzer tanks and an officer's Luger. Some medals that they would have, that's one thing. But when you actually have Nazi material as opposed to German World War II paraphernalia, that's kind of the difference, because one's the actual army and the military, and the other is the political ideal. Kind of like a MAGA hat. All right, so I digress. Not that I'm going to Harlan Crow's house anytime soon. And Harlan Crow is like, oh my God, Clarence, I had no idea. Ginny looks so different than you. I didn't realize. Okay. Supreme Court, David, focus. Supreme Court. Okay, let's assume this case, that was the energy around them. Let's see, this case now comes before the Supreme Court. How will they rule? Let's do a 4-carder for that. How will they rule? Strength. I think their strength holds up. And I see an 8 up here. So I do think it becomes an 8-1 with one holdout. Wonder who that holdout would be, Clarence. We got the Lover's card, the agreements. Look at these great cards underneath here, and the World card, and the Devil. Trump and all the the 7 deadly sins that he embodies is underneath this all, and it's just a rejection of this corruption. It's a corrupt case. There's nothing for them to work on. And again, both sides of the aisle come together. Trump's been trying to divide people in the United States for a very long time, and they come together. It's back to an agreement. Yeah, it's the agreement. It's a long-term agreement. It's putting this issue to a close. That doesn't mean MAGA is dead. That doesn't mean that the threat to democracy is dead, but it's stopped in its tracks there. It's done. The threat to democracy will continue so long as we don't have guardrails up for our elections and voting and things, voters' rights, basically. And that's going to be one of the priorities, or should be one of the priorities, of a Democratic administration and a Democratic Congress. Get the John Lewis Act put back in place. Try and pass some legislation to prevent gerrymandering or outlaw gerrymandering. Maybe some guidelines on voter rolls, and maybe make a national holiday to vote. Things to encourage people to register, encourage people to vote. That type of thing. Those can be done at the federal level. And you can really undermine the state's ability to impact elections. Plus, the Supreme Court has made some rulings recently that do impact elections. Therefore, Congress can do stuff to put legislation in place to take it out of the Supreme Court opinion, and then make federal law out of it. Okay. There's stuff that can be done, but first thing we need to do is we need to make sure we're registered, and then get out and vote, and get like-minded people registered and get them out to vote too. Give the Democrats the White House, give them Congress, so that they can enact these. They've got 2 years in Congress before the next elections. If they can get reelected, they've got a total of 4 years to get stuff done. The Democrats have to get stuff done this time. They can't just posture. They have to get stuff done. They have to deliver. If they don't, I'm very concerned about the longevity of this country. Okay? Well, thank you again for watching this video and supporting my channel. I do appreciate it. Remember, this reading is for entertainment purposes only, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.